Thanks, Lisa. Great to be here with everyone, and amazing presentations. I've been taking furious notes, and I think it's all about campaigns and channels to cut through the noise, right? And that becomes really difficult when those channels are taking down your content. I'm sure a lot of you struggle with this, and we have a roundtable right after this to continue the dialogue on navigating controversial topics. And unfortunately, women's health is a controversial topic in this country. So I think, no matter what side of the aisle you're on in the great abortion debate, I think as healthcare professionals, we can all agree with the science that abortion care is healthcare, emergency contraception is healthcare, and the government should not be legislating what we want to do with our bodies. Again, Wisp is not a political organization, and so we've always been pulled into this political dialogue. And so as a marketer, having to figure out how do we get our message out there in a non-political way in a country in which women's health is inherently political, it's been tricky, it's been a challenge. And so I think what we're gonna talk about here was a really creative way in which our team with an external agency came up with the solution, and it was a true team effort. A lot of external parties helped to bring this to life. And so this is kind of what we're talking about here, and how to reframe something that's already out there in the media in such a large way, and to really cut across the aisle, which at the end of the day is what we want to do. We want to be heard, not only by the people who already know about us, but by those sitting on the other side, or those people who we haven't yet reached. So a little bit about Wisp, because I do not think that we have the brand recognition. I know that we don't, that a lot of you folks here have. We are a direct-to-consumer platform. So we're an online telehealth platform that connects the patients with the providers. And so we go direct-to-consumer. Our largest channels are paid search, paid social, and our main value proposition is providing same-day care for common vaginal infections and women's health issues. So think if you have a UTI, which if you're a female or even a male in this audience, you've probably experienced. I think over 50-60% of women will have them, and they're often recurring. You don't have the time to go to a doctor's office, and why should you? They'll just ask for your symptoms and write you a script, most likely. So we've developed a tech platform that allows patients to sign up, intake their medical information. Our providers on the back end will review, and then you can get your pharmacy sent to your prescription sent to any pharmacy in the United States, across all 50 states, on average 3 hours or less. We also do delivery for a lot of products as well. We have one-time purchases and subscriptions. So really that end-to-end direct-to-consumer experience. We've also been stepping into fertility and other areas more recently. But what we're here to talk about is really reproductive care and the challenges around that. But I will say, and we'll have the dialogue afterwards, we've experienced issues in every single one of these categories. Herpes is something that impacts about 70% of the population. On TikTok, we're not allowed to say the word herpes, which is interesting. And so we'll talk more about that and how we've had to work with the reps. Another area is around pleasure. You've, I'm sure, seen ads for Viagra or erectile dysfunction. Well, unfortunately, female pleasure is not treated in the same way, and our ads around our female arousal prescription medication is often taken down. So we experience this in all of our different verticals, but it's particularly exacerbated when it comes to abortion care. So a little bit of background. On June 24th, 2022, we all experienced the Dobbs leak as we learned that the Supreme Court was overturning Roe v. Wade, which legislated that on a national level, abortion care was protected, and it was returning it to the states. Now, we currently, at that time, offered birth control and emergency contraception. So birth control, you can get your local pharmacy pickup or delivered to your door. in really many different formats. We have a 12-month upfront format, we have a monthly, we have a one-time, and so we really look to be flexible and then read that data and then iterate from there on what women want. Emergency contraception is an interesting one. There's Plan B and there's Ella, so there's an OTC and a prescription for that category. And what we saw on June 24th and for the weeks following is triple-digit increases in demand for these products. And so we saw that women and people with vaginas were scared. They were stocking up on emergency contraception. They were making sure that they were on birth control. And so one of the things that we really did with that data was say, okay, we're going to have to come up with another solution. And this is, we have a telehealth platform built out. Let's figure out how to offer telehealth medical abortion, which is not quite as easy as some of these other categories. For the other categories, we'll ship in 3 to 5 standard business days. You can't do that for medical abortion. You need to get that care immediately, because how the 2-pill regimen works for mifepristone and misoprostol is that you need to get it into patients' hands before 10 weeks, or it won't be effective. And I know we've recently seen the Supreme Court take issue with mifepristone, and thankfully that's been preserved and access there has been preserved. But the other challenge was the state-by-state restrictions that we had to really jump through in order to roll this out. It's not something that, we could widely do. We had to take a state-by-state approach, and we took a legal approach. You might see a lot of other telehealth platforms out there, mostly in the nonprofit space, saying, hey, we'll serve you in all 50 states. Most of those do not, are not profit companies like we are. We have a board. We can't operate in an illegal manner. And so we really scrambled to get this live. And one of the most important things, and I don't think we've really talked about it here, is brand partnerships with different, nonprofits, other brands in the space. And that has unlocked so much for us. So especially when it came to medical abortion, we worked across the aisle with different nonprofits, brands, and different advocacy organizations to really amplify this message. Plan C is a great nonprofit. They are one of those companies I was speaking about that can go into any state and really, give resources for how do you get this medication online. We are linked on their site, and they have massive SEO power, from an acquisition perspective, and so that's been really beneficial. And more than that, they link to us as a resource so patients around the country can find us. August is a very Gen Z forward brand. They do organic and sustainable tampons and period care. They've got a very personality-driven brand. Nadia Okamoto is their CEO. If you don't follow her on TikTok, you absolutely should. And that company has a little bit more leeway too to be a little bit more, I would say, political and speak to different generations. And so we worked with them and including their their pads in our medical abortion kits. That's not something that we produce. We're not in that business, and they were more than happy to do that at cost. And so we were both working together on these kits that then are FedExed over to patients in the state in which we serve. Abortion Freedom Fund is another organization that we worked with that they're amazing. They are the first telehealth abortion fund. So as we were looking for partners to partner with on being able to provide financial assistance to patients who couldn't afford abortion, because that was really important to us as a brand to increase access to most folks, even if you can't afford it. Most of the national abortion funds were only set up to provide financial assistance to clinics. And so that was a really interesting learning. So we kind of quickly got connected to folks in the space. Christy Pitney and the amazing providers over at Abortion Freedom Fund make it so that you can get an abortion as low as $50 on our site. And so this is not a product, a service that we're making any money on, but it is something that we know that we needed to provide because we saw, the data and how nervous people were out there and thought that we could really make an impact. Now, the challenge is getting that message out, right? And so that's what came to us through this amazing agency, 72 and Sunny. Also, huge shout out to Eversana, who is here, and we've kind of recreated some of the magic with the new campaign. But 72 and Sunny, we were introduced to through Nadia at August, who I spoke about. They were working on an interesting idea about how do you reach across the aisle to really amplify your message. And it was very synergistic with what we were looking to do. And we were really, the in-house experts on what we could or couldn't do, the challenges, on the different platforms, Meta versus TikTok, Google, how we could kind of get a message across. And so they had this idea to come up with a campaign that incentivized folks on the other side of the aisle. So, I don't love the language, but we'll just call it pro-life, how to reach them with our message that abortion care is healthcare. And the things that we could provide were that, acquisition and channel expertise. Like Kristen at Octave, everything we do is really in-house. So we have a lot of channel expertise, which has proven to be really valuable. Also, the content and fact checking. At the end of the day, everything is clinically reviewed. All of our content. There's so much misinformation out there that it's really important that we all stick to the facts. The social promotion, the PR support, earned media, like many of you folks here, is incredibly important, especially when we're not able to directly say what we want to say on social media. And we worked with them to figure out the channel in which we wanted to target the other side. And so for us, YouTube made the most sense because we could put together different keywords to target who we thought would be against, pro-choice, against abortion. And so, I won't go into all of the different terms in which we targeted, but I think, a lot of you can kind of think of different keywords, and that helped us to kind of come up with this audience and launch this campaign that said, if you skip this ad, we will be donating money to women in need seeking abortion care. And that's something that we could do through our Abortion Freedom Fund and through the service on our site. So I'm just gonna show you the campaign. I think it's pretty powerful, and I think the folks at 72 and Sunny did an amazing job. Makes me a little emotional. And so we launched this, I should mention, on June 24th, 2023. So the 1-year anniversary of the leak of Roe v. Wade, of the overturning of Roe v. Wade. And we had this great landing page made by choice.org. I think it's been taken down, but it had all the facts on there. It was an interactive page that had all of the facts and figures about how safe mifepristone and misoprostol is, how safe telehealth medical abortion is, medication abortion compared to other kinds of abortion. More facts like the one you saw, that 95%, did not regret their decision. And really, again, just more facts, actual information. Through this campaign, we won a Fast Company World Changing Idea Award, which is amazing. Thank you. We won a Clio Health Award. We were a runner-up at Cannes as well. And a whole bunch of other awards and accolades, and a ton of media coverage, which was really exciting to see. And again, just going back to how we could not get this message across any other channel, really. And we actually had to put up that YouTube channel made by choice.org. We couldn't risk having it on our own YouTube page, and so we weren't, getting those impressions or anything because we were risking our account being taken down. And so we created this dummy account. So that's one thing too, for those of you looking for controversial topics, you can always spin up a page first or a different account, to do some testing there. We've done that in a lot of different situations. And I would say the most important impact of the campaign is that we raised almost $20,000 from folks skipping the ad, which is very exciting. And so another amazing thing that happened out of this, Eversana also reached out to us, and we just launched a campaign. They saw the success of this campaign. We launched another one this year, which maybe I can present next year as a follow-up, really focused on the oath that doctors are breaking, essentially, when they cannot provide this crucial care to women in certain states. And so I think this was a really creative approach. It included all of our, channel owners to come together to think through how we can launch this, our creative team, our amazing partners at 72andSunny, and leveraging our PR to make an impact here. And we saw a tremendous amount of brand lift, our branded revenue, our social follower count, and social engagement. And then our influencers were kind of happy to amplify this on their pages as well. So definitely a successful campaign. And that's it for me.
Awesome, Jenny, thank you. I have hands already up.
Hi there. Thank you for the great presentation. Jan Weinstein from PHM. I'm going to do my absolute best not to be political. Okay, but okay. The right to choose should not be political. The Supreme Court should not be political. Unfortunately, they've become political. Given the events of maybe the past 72 hours and the potential candidacy of Kamala Harris, who is very vocal about women's right to choose and her stance on it, do you see what's happening now impacting what your organization is going to be doing in the market to continue to raise awareness at this very critical time? Like, we know 70% of the population does support the right to choose, even though 50-ish% are very split on who they will vote for. So there's a divide there, and I'm just wondering,
it's such a great question, and it's so top of mind for me. The short answer is absolutely yes. As a marketer, we all have to pay attention to the news cycle, right? Mark, you were saying you get up and you looked at LinkedIn. Maybe it's because of my CNBC background, but the first thing I do is look at the news cycle, and how does that dictate what I'm talking about? We do not live in a vacuum. You will look totally out of touch if you are not reacting to something that's topical, even if you're trying to be apolitical. And it was funny, after Monday night, our drinks, I like I do, scrolled in bed, and I was like, oh my God, Kamala is blowing up. The coconut, the Charlie XCX, and I was just thinking, what do I do here? Like, it would be great to recreate that and do, the Apple dance and everything and integrate it, but that's not something that we cannot really do. So we have to think of creative ways, like we did this one. And so one thing that we're doing that I'm really excited about is going back to the data. We always go back to the data. You cannot argue with data when you're just reporting, like you said, 70% are actually, believe in the right to choose. What we're gonna do is send out a survey through our, research software to women throughout the country to ask them, how has it been to access birth control in your state in the last 5 years? What about emergency contraception? What about abortion care? Did you get an abortion? What was that experience like? To be able to use that data to tell that story. And I really think that, that will have large legs, not only on our own channels, but with earned media. So thinking about ways in which we can do that without getting overtly political or in the dialogue.
Anyone else? And actually, Jenny will be leading a roundtable later, so you can bombard her then as well off the record. So Jenny, that was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.